Hey folks, welcome again to 5 Minutes for Healing. Today we're going to talk about grounding. After we experience big danger, whether that be past abuse or past assault, it's not unusual at all to experience a variety of post-traumatic experiences. It could be patterns of thoughts in our mind, like flashbacks. We could have big emotions like anxiety. We can have uncomfortable patterns of behavior as well. Today, though, we want to talk about our bodies. And we know that after the danger is over, there can be a variety of patterns that we experience in our bodies. Being cut off from our senses, possibly, feeling numb. This is what we want to talk about today. Now, it's good to remind ourselves that that was our body's way of responding to the original danger. It served a purpose at that time. But today, it may no longer do that. So we want to help our bodies learn a new way of responding. And this is where the role of grounding comes in. If we can develop a regular practice of grounding, we know it will help us keep our focus in on the present, what we can call the now, rather than the past. If we can develop this practice of grounding, then we can also experience a thought-stopping process, which is catching ourselves when we drift back to past experiences or when we move into possibly worries or anxiety about the future. We can keep ourselves anchored in that regard. Grounding will also help nudge us out of patterns of dissociation. And those patterns may have existed a long, long time. By grounding, we can also say it helps us befriend parts of ourselves that we may have lost touch with. So in that regard, grounding will help us be in touch with our parts of ourselves or allow us to experience integration. And lastly, knowing that often breath work is part of the grounding experience. By those deeper inhalations, by that experience of greater oxygen into our bodies, we can be more in touch with our full sensations of our body, full experiences of our mind and hearts in action. Interesting enough, in the last few years, there's research to conclude that apart from trauma therapy, the regular practice of grounding and meditation may be the best support or supplement to the therapy process. Now, there's 101 ways to practice grounding. Almost all practice involves an intentional use of your senses. And I would suggest, in whatever means you wish to practice grounding, always be attentive to your breath. But let's just talk of a few examples. We can touch objects and feel the relative temperature of them, the sensation and texture of those objects. We can move into that experience. We can move out of that experience. We can choose another object to, again, reflect on that touch. We can tighten and then relax our muscles. Again, as an anchoring way into our body. We can stamp our feet when we feel like we're losing touch with ourselves, and the physicality of that by itself is grounding. We can explore the sensation of a cool shower, of putting our hands in a warm sink of water, putting an ice cube on our hands as well, and notice the shift in sensations from that. If we have a pet in our lives, we can pet the pet and experience a sense of connection, the sensation of the warmth and of the fur of the animal. We can also make eye contact with someone we trust. Always a grounding. Now, it's important to remember that our focus is always then to be on the present when we're grounding, not on the past and not on the future. And through learning this new exercise, this new pattern, this new practice, remind yourself that the worst is over. You can be gentle as you take on a new activity to add to your healing journey. In our next session, we'll practice a more formal means of grounding, and that's the use of meditation. Thanks for joining us today on Learning About Grounding. Until we meet again, friends.